On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about loving our people in our lives, on our teams, and in our cultures, not just because it's the right thing to do, although that is the first reason, but also because it's what they want and it helps us all be better at everything that we're striving to do. Welcome back to The Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced the best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back, breathe in good oxygen, and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world. Hey everybody, it's Jason, and welcome back to the Thermostat Podcast, wherever you are and however you're coming to the podcast today. Welcome back. So glad you are here, and so glad that we continue to have this relationship together, however you're listening, wherever you are. This is great, and I'm so excited that you are here. If you're somebody that's been with us from day one, welcome back. If you're new to the podcast, so glad that you are found it and somebody recommended it or you stumbled upon it, however that is. I hope you'll go back, check out the great episodes that we've had in the past. Believe it or not, we're in season 7, and we've recorded over 160 episodes, 160. So dive in. There's great content, great interviews, great micropods along this journey. So I hope you'll go back and dive into topics and themes that might be interesting or relevant to you on your leadership and culture journey. Before we dive into today's topic, I have a quick favor, of course, that I need to ask, or at least people keep telling me I have to continue to say this. So thank you to anyone who actually follows this up with action. But if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. Rate the podcast 5 stars, if you will, and then leave an authentic review in your own words, not some robot, but in your own words of why this podcast is important or resonates with you. Those are the 3 main ways that this is really helpful for people to find the podcast and the algorithms to work. So if you'll do that, that'd be great. If you're in a even more sharing mood, then I would encourage you to pick episodes you like and share them on social media. Share them with your colleagues or your team members, whatever's authentic for you, about how, invite them to be a part of these conversations and this dialogue. That's the way that these messages spread. So thanks to everybody who takes the time to do that. The word love. I mean, here, this podcast comes out on Valentine's Day, so it's appropriate that we have the love in our theme today. But I think you're going to see that we're going to take a little different angle with this term, love, especially for the context of what we're talking about. It is applicable if you're thinking about somebody on Valentine's Day that you, of course, love, then this will be applicable to you in that way, in many ways. But really, we're talking about beyond romantic love. In fact, we're not talking about romantic love. We're talking about, that love is not a word that you often hear in business. In fact, many shy away from it in a business or organizational context. I did a podcast a while back where I shared some words and stories from my great friend and mentor, Howard Behar, who's the former president of Starbucks, from back in their early years of existence. When nobody knew of Starbucks, and he and his team helped grow them from like 17 stores to 15,000 stores around the globe. So he hasn't been with Starbucks for some time, but he was in those years of helping to bring them to this massive global brand. And he introduced the concept of actually loving their employees and their people. And in fact, this concept of loving them and their people, and it really transformed their entire organization. Of course, long after he was gone from Starbucks, and even while he was there, of course, there were challenges and obstacles. But even after he has been gone from Starbucks for some time, of course, that organization has continued to have new challenges over the years, obstacles and imperfections that have been shown, as every organization has, by the way, and every company. But, And also the fact that love isn't something that just magically keeps on going. We know we have to continue to invest in the things that we love and the people that we love, the things that we care about. So it's not just something that magically keeps going. So leaders and cultures need to cultivate care and love for the people around them every single day. I know that's certainly true for my own life. So on today's podcast, we're going to be talking about loving our people in our lives, on our teams, and in our cultures, not just because it's the right thing to do, although that is the first reason, but also because it's what they want and it helps us all be better at everything that we're striving to do. But before we dive into today's topic, let's pause for a second, take a quick break, and we'll be right back. If you haven't done so already, we hope you'll visit Amazon or Amplify or jasonvbarger.com to check out Breathing Oxygen, my new book that is all about breathing good oxygen into ourselves and mindsets that fuel ourselves and the teams and the organizations around us. Positive, healthy thinking is as essential to great leadership and building a winning culture as the air we breathe. Leading yourself and a team of people has never been more complicated than it is today. As a leader, every move you make is either breathing life into your organization or slowly killing it. The atmosphere can easily turn toxic with negativity, blame, and doubt poisoning the culture. Just like every being on the planet needs good air to breathe, every organization needs leadership that breathes life into its people to sustain the energy required to complete its mission. Breathing Oxygen focuses on 6 key leadership mindsets that breathe life into any team: clarity, inclusivity, mental agility, grit, rest, and ownership. Join us, read, and share Breathing Oxygen.
Available now from Amplify Books on Amazon and jasonvbarger.com.
We're talking about loving our people on today's podcast. So let's start here with a quick definition for love. Let's start there. The first definition that comes up as I type that into Google is, it says, an intense feeling of deep affection. An intense feeling of deep affection. From the beginning of today's chat, I want to make sure that we're abundantly clear here that I'm not talking about romantic love. I love romantic love, and I'm a romantic guy, person, human. I think people know that I care about people, and I like that. But that's not what we're talking about on this podcast. Please, no lawsuits because you're telling your HR department that Jason Barger told you to go love your people in some kind of romantic or inappropriate way. It's not what I'm talking about. Please don't do that. That's not what we're talking about. But what I am talking about is seeking, if that definition of love means an intense feeling of deep affection for our people, that we don't have to be romantically involved with people that way to still have an intense feeling of deep affection for people. And in fact, hopefully we have that for a lot of people in our life, if not romantically, but just in a deep affection for them. So I love this. My friend and fellow author and speaker, John Acuff, he has a lot of great work and books and things that he's done out there, but I love the way that he talks about organizational empathy being defined as, quote, caring about what the people you care about care about. Let me say that again because it's a mouthful. Caring about what the people you care about care about. I absolutely love that language. And there's many layers to that phrase, by the way. And with many of the teams and organizations, we break that down as we're doing leadership development or culture shaping development. And we break that down because it's a great way for us to think about things, but also we have to think about a number of the layers of that. Who is it that we truly care about? And then do we get in the business of caring about what they actually care about? And so similarly, I believe we make an active choice on a daily basis, whether we, consciously know it or not, to either actively love the people that we are in relationships with, or to kind of go through the motions and fall into kind of autopilot mode. I've talked about this autopilot mode a lot in my first book, Step Back from the Baggage Claim. So I believe we make an active choice. It's a daily thing, again, whether we're conscious of it or not. Am I going to actively love the people that I'm in a relationship with, or am I going to fall into kind of autopilot mode? And again, I'm not talking about purely romantic love, although, again, I hope there are some elements of this that if you're in a romantic relationship that all of this applies. But we're not talking about romantic love. We're talking about, can I have deep affection for people that mean something to me? And so for me, I'll personalize it. Do I choose actively to love my kids today? Do I choose to love my wife? Do I actively choose to love my friends? And do I actively choose today to love the people on my team or as a part of an organization or a team that I support? An entire organization. Even people I don't know as well, can I still have deep affection and love for them? If we want to consider these ideas, then I'll lead us into just kind of 3 reminders about loving our people. The first one is, loving someone doesn't mean you have to be best friends or even alike. Loving someone doesn't mean you have to be best friends or even alike. In fact, it may begin with acknowledging that the people around you are different than you. They think differently. They want different things in some ways. They come to most situations differently than you, and that's okay. But do you honor the relationship you have with them and the fact that you both have committed to being in a relationship with each other? And again, we have a spectrum of relationships in our lives. My commitment to my wife is certainly different than my commitment to a coworker. However, I still believe that we can acknowledge that how do I honor that commitment that we've made as coworkers to each other and to the organization that we're here to serve? So in a workplace environment, people have committed to working as a part of a community, and you have agreed to help foster that community as the leader. So you don't have to be BFFs. You don't have to be best friends with everybody throughout the team organization. In fact, that's not realistic. We're all different, and we don't have to be alike. And in fact, in many cases, we don't have to hang out with everybody. But I do think we can have an appreciation for those differences and a deep affection for the people that are helping to co-create the culture with us. So we need to remember that loving our people doesn't mean that we have to be best friends or that we're all the same. In fact, it means that we love the differences that we have, and we love and honor the fact that we all are committed to the culture and to the mission that we're here to seek. The second thing I'll remind us of is that we need to listen and seek. Listen and seek. In order to know what our people care about, if empathy is around this idea of caring about what the people we care about. In order to know what our people care about, if it's people that we truly love, then we're going to have to listen and seek out that information. If we don't actually care, we won't take the time to watch, listen, ask, and then eventually act. So again, I know that even with my wife, who I've been together with for over 20 years, that I know that to think that I know everything about her is not accurate. We are a work in progress. The culture of our relationship is continuing to grow and develop. And so I need to, if I say I'm going to love my wife, I can't just, stay where we were yesterday. I need to continue to watch, to listen, to ask, to seek. Same thing with my kids, same thing with my friends. And absolutely, if that's true from them, then think about the people throughout our organizations that we of course don't know as well as we know those people. So we need to listen, we need to seek, we need to ask, and we eventually need to act. So loving the people around us and on our teams and in our organizations is a constant process of listening and seeking to try to understand what is it that they really care about. Then, in the context of the objectives, the pursuits, and in our mission as a team or as an organization, can we incorporate as many elements of that which our people care about? What kind of environment? How do we show deep affection for our people in ways that they care about? This will help us all be better at what we do. The third thing I'll remind us about in terms of loving our people is the fact that love does. Love does. Author Bob Goff wrote a book, called Love Does. I love that title and I love this language. It is about the simple belief that love comes to life in action. Love comes to life in action. So, for the context of what we're talking about again today, if we truly do choose to care about and love the people around us in our teams and our organizations, again, not romantically, but in a deep honoring of them, a deep affection for their commitment to us and to the organization and to trying to seek and understand and listen to what they care about, then our actions will follow. We will then, if love does, then we will develop a strategy to help them feel that kind of deep affection for who they are before they do anything to deserve it, and how important they are, the things they actually do to help us with our mission. I know this, that I can't just tell my wife I love her and think that that's enough. I've got to show her. I can't just tell my kids that I love them. I've got to show them. I can't just tell a team in the workplace that I partner with that I love them and care about them. I've got to show it. Again, and we can't just put posters on the walls of our companies that say we love our people. We care about our people. We have to follow it up with action. And it doesn't mean we're all going to get everything we need and everything that we desire, but our pursuit of that will help us show that kind of deep care and affection for the people around us. It doesn't mean we'll be perfect, but it does mean that we know that love and loving and caring for our people is about intentionality and action. So let me leave us with a few questions to ponder this week along our journey. Who are you actively choosing to love in your life and work? Who are you actively choosing to love in your life and work? In what ways could you honor and care about even those who are different than you? And what's the proactive plan to put love and care into action within your culture? I hope today's episode got you thinking in maybe some new ways and connected to all the different people and places that you're thinking about. If a deeper dive into any of these topics is interesting to you, please let us know about it. Share your thoughts. Reach out to us on email at info@jasonvbarger.com and let us know. And we'll continue to design content to help meet you where you are and things that you're interested in and thinking about along your leadership and culture journey. Lastly, I'll remind you to just go back and listen to a number of the past episodes, search for topics and themes that might be interesting to you, and I hope they add value and contribute to your journey. Cheers to you, cheers to us, cheers to the path ahead of all of us in the year ahead, and remember that the future of leadership is you, is me, is us. We need to get clear on the temperature we hope to set, and then be courageous and committed to breathing oxygen into the mindsets and actions that will sustain us on our path forward. Step back, remember, be a thermostat, breathe good oxygen. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using, and share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to you and your organization, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. And remember, we are all ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.